It is August 12th, and this is not what I expected at all. James Spears is stepping aside, or is he? It is a lot, y'all. This response is a lot. James Spears is objecting and opposing to Britney's motion to have him removed, to have him yeeted. He's objecting, but saying, like, maybe I'll leave, but I have some conditions first. And it is wild. The news reporting on this is like James Spears resigns, and it's like kind of, it's like with an asterisk. And I cannot believe how much he throws Lynn Spears under the bus in this motion. And we are just going to talk about it. It is a dedicated Britney stream tonight. I'm optimistic that this is the beginning of the end for James Spears, but he is clawing on the way down. He's burning the boats, and it is going to be so much. OMG. We're just going to get into it. It's so much to cover tonight. It's good to see you coming in. Let me know where you're coming in from. I am coming in with root beer whiskey this evening because it's like that tonight. And if you're on the replay crew, love you. The timestamps are down below, but it's really a one topic motion. I'm going to go through the motion, or the opposition, as it were, and then I'm going to go through some of the statements that have been released to the press by both Lynn Spears' attorney and Britney's attorney, Matthew Rosengart. So people are talking to the press, but this is the beginning of what's going to be a very ugly, ugly fight. Woof. Hey there. If we haven't met yet, I'm Emily D. Baker, the badass lawyer and everyone's favorite legal commentator. I'm the host of The Emily Show, and I break down the legal shit behind the news and pop culture stories we all want to talk about. I have been a licensed attorney for over 15 years, but this is not legal advice. I should warn you, I'm a big fan of the cursey words. This channel is where the law nerds unite to talk about facts, not fuckery. It is so good to see everyone coming in. Hello to all of our Canadian law nerds. Hello to all of our law nerds from all over the world, and especially those of you coming in the wee hours. It is so good to see you. I see you, Ireland. I see you, England. I see you, Canada. I see you all over the US. I see a lot of y'all from Canada. Good to see you. I'm just going to pull up this motion, and we're just going to get into it because it's just so much stuff. And I had put up a little bit of a poll before we got started because it feels to me like James Spears is trying to burn shit down on his way out in the stylings of YouTube's own Gabby Hanna. And so I think you should be seeing the poll results now. 94% of you were like, yes, girl, yes. That's exactly what's happening. And maybe that will change after we read this motion. Cameron Helms says, hello from San Diego. I have a Thai iced tea and relaxing in the heat, too humid for SoCal. Even when we were there visiting, it was humid. It's definitely more humid in Middle Tennessee, but it was humid the last time we were in California as well. And that's wild to me. Just by way of housekeeping, you will see a new membership tier. I'm going to be talking to the members about that as we shift some things. So that law nerd tier is going to be the only tier available going forward. So if you do join the channel as a member, that law nerd tier is where you want to be. The other tiers will be phasing to other things, and we will talk about that at another time. Do the YouTube-y things, the likey, subscribing things. Share this out if you want to see channels covering it. There's over 3,000 of you in here. And after stream tonight, I will be hopping over to Popcorn Planet and talking a little more with them about this. Let's just pull this motion up and get into it. This is the PR side of this case is going to get so ugly, y'all. It's going to get so ugly. Like, this motion is not a concession. This is a burn it down on the way out. That's exactly what it is. And it is, are we fucking surprised? Are we surprised that Dad Spears is burning it down? Savvy, it's so good to see you. I need to DM you. Today has been insane. Where can I get whiskey root beer? I need this. It's so good. It's from, I will send you a picture of the bottle. It is, My brain is totally stopping. It's one of the Tennessee brands of whiskey, Old Smoky. They're known for moonshine around the country, but they make amazing whiskey. So Old Smoky, I'll post this on social too, a picture of it. It tastes just like root beer. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. I really do like whiskey. Um, Starting my 1L on Monday, and I'm watching this as I read for Federal Civ Pro. Well, this is going to be a whole mess, but your 1L is going to be fascinating with all of the lawsuits and the YouTube things that are happening. You have so much to pull from. So you guys, thank you for all the super chats. I'm going to get into this motion and then I will come back and get to super chats as we get into questions, just so the people who want to see the content can jump right into it. The forensic accounting will be fascinating. It's going to be so fascinating, Jennifer. I cannot wait. Hello, Celine. What's up? Hello from Tijuana, drinking 7-Hop Voodoo Ranger. You love the Voodoos, and I love seeing it. Thank you. Forget whiskey, root beer. I'm breaking out the Scotch tonight. Fair. Celebrating the yeeting and making a live chat. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you all for posting about Old Smoky. Old Smoky also has a salted watermelon whiskey that's really, really good. Not sponsored, but I realize that's the official call to like, not sponsored, but sponsored. Come on, Old Smoky, let's talk. From Victoria, Australia, working hard from lockdown, doing tax returns for clients. Thanks for the ride. It's a nice distraction from the dumpster fire that is my job right now, I imagine. And I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be here. All right, let's talk about this document. All right. This was filed today at 2:02 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and it did not populate on my end till about 5 o'clock Central Standard Time. That's not unusual. It definitely seems that the media knew this was coming because these headlines were breaking before this or right around this time. So it was before it populated on the site, which is why I'm always hesitant. But when I saw Matthew Rosengart making a statement, he would have had a copy of this probably before they filed it. So when I saw him make a statement, I was like, okay, Rosengart's made a statement. This is happening. We might as well just talk about it. A brief road so far as we get into this because it's warranted. Since June 23rd, when Britney Spears testified to the court that she is done with this conservatorship, done with her dad being in charge of her life, and really pissed off about a whole bunch of stuff, this case has moved really fast, including a huge win for her, which was getting her own private counsel and her 13-year court-appointed attorney, Sam Ingham, being allowed to resign. In that, a lot happened. There had been a motion in 2020 to remove James Spears as conservator. The court denied that motion and was going to appoint Bessemer Trust as the co-conservator of the estate. Bessemer Trust yeeted themselves out of this case when they resigned after the June 23rd hearing, saying, we thought that this was all like voluntary and like that we were all good, and Britney's statement does not sound like she's cool with this, so we're not cool with this, so we're out, leaving James Spears as the only conservator of the estate. After Matthew Rosengart got hired, he has come into this case going guns blazing to remove James Spears from this. It seems to be Britney's most fervent desire at this point is to remove her dad from a position of control over her money. I understand why. I think all of us are sitting here going, well, yeah, get rid of James Spears. Goodbye. Rosengart, I thought his motions did a really good job of putting James Spears kind of in a corner. I mean, he's not going to go down without swinging from that corner and swinging out from that corner, but he has absolutely been painted into it's in Britney's best interest that he leaves. It's his job to do what's in her best interest. So if he doesn't do what's in her best interest, what does that say about him? Really? What does it say? This is his response to that. And the reason I've gotten asked this question a lot on social, and I'll get into it a little bit more at the end of this motion too. The reason they're moving to remove James Spears, this is my opinion when I'm looking at how this plays out down the line. I think the goal to get rid of James Spears and not just end the conservatorship tomorrow, like why the petition for removal? Why advancing the date? Why all of this? Why aren't we just ending the conservatorship? Here's why I think that's not happening yet. I think Rosengart is in the position with Britney where they want to now do a full investigation, and his statement today says some of that, a full investigation into James Spears. And with that full investigation, they need the court to still have, say it with me, law nerds, jurisdiction. The court still needs to have jurisdiction over this matter. If they end the conservatorship, this court no longer has jurisdiction to do fuck all. And I mean, some of you are going to argue, yeah, but the judge hasn't done fuck all thus far. Fair point, touche, well played. But if they want to take any action against James Spears under the confines of this conservatorship, the court has to retain jurisdiction, which means the conservatorship still needs to be in place. So removing James, doing an investigation, and then setting next steps is the way I think this is going to go. Remove James, investigation, potentially lawsuits. We know she went to the sheriff's. So potentially criminal investigation as well. That is potential, and going from there. But the court needs to still have jurisdiction over James Spears, over this conservatorship, and over this case. Interesting note, this is filed by Holland & Knight. Holland & Knight and Vivian Thurine is the law firm that charges all of the funds, all of the money from Holland & Knight. They're the ones still asking for over $1.3 million in the 12th accounting. We'll talk about that tonight too. Interesting that it says James Spears's first response to Conservatee's petition for suspension and removal. Do you anticipate saying more? What else are we going to say? Put it all in here. This is really an objection to the petition to remove him and suspend him. I imagine that Rosengart will have a response to this. I would love to know y'all's response to this. So just keep it in the chat as we go. I want to hear what y'all are thinking about this, because man, oh man, Dad Spears is coming in hot. Nicole, I'm so glad it's your first live. Welcome. James Spears, as conservator of the estate of Britney Jean Spears, presents his first response. You anticipating more? What you holding back then? What are you holding back? Why is this a first response? I have questions. To Conservatee's petition for suspension and removal of James P. Spears as conservator of the estate, and alleges as follows. Well, no, they argue as follows. They're not really alleging. What are you alleging? You're not alleging. You're arguing. You're objecting. You're opposing. Potato, potato. Introduction. When this conservatorship was initiated 13 years ago, Britney Jean Spears was in crisis, desperately in need of help. Do we see the PR move already? Do we see the PR legal interplay? Does the court need to know? The court was there. Well, this judge actually wasn't. It was a different judge. But this court has been overseeing this case for the better part of 10 years. The court knows. Who is this introduction written for? Ask yourself. Not only was she suffering mentally and emotionally, she was also being manipulated by predators and in financial distress by predators. Mr. Spears came to his daughter's rescue to protect her, and this court made the determination that the protection provided by a conservatorship was necessary and in Miss Spears's best interest. The court also determined that it was in Miss Spears's best interest for Mr. Spears to be his daughter's conservator. Without notice to her, over her later objections to him being in charge, and they've gone to such lengths to seal all these records. Why spill all this shit in the street now? Oh, I don't know. This is the same law firm, by the way, that has spent over $500,000 on media matters. Just ask yourself if this reads like a motion or if this reads like a PR statement that Britney's daddy loves her. Do not take a shot every time they say shit like that in this motion. It will get messy quick. From the beginning, of course, Mr. Spears has always been Miss Spears's father, and the parent-child relationship has always affected the conservatorship. The negative parent-child relationship. Sometimes it has been difficult. Oh, good. We're finally acknowledging that there's been some difficulty. Good. As all parent-child relationships are at one time or another. That's fair, but Britney's almost 40, and she's allowed to set boundaries with her family. And that includes not seeing them if she doesn't want to see them. She's not 12. She can opt out. She's an adult. Let me continue. But Mr. Spears has always done what he believes was in his daughter's best interests. And Mr. Spears was the best choice to serve as his daughter's conservator. No one knew Miss Spears better, and no one loved her as much as a parent could. They might have spent less of her money, though. I'm just saying. Not all relationships are healthy just because they're biologically determined. The conservatorship has provided Miss Spears with a structure to help her navigate the daily challenges of her personal life, family matters. Family matters, like the restraining order that her children have against you, Dad Spears. That. Medical issues and career. By nature, the structure includes safeguards to protect the conservatee from self-harm or harm from others. It is not surprising that Ms. Spears has often felt constrained or subject to excessive supervision. But at least for the greater part of the last 13 years, the conservatorship has worked as intended. I'll just let that sink in. I'm not going to comment. We're going to keep moving. Y'all could come to your own conclusion on that one. At every step along the way, Mr. Spears has offered his daughter love, support, and encouragement, both as her conservator and as her father, as well as a 1% stake in all of her business dealings. Well, maybe not all, at least in her tours. Oh, and no, what is that? That's not what we want. And not only a 1% interest, but also a $16,000 a month stipend. He's not billing hourly for work he does on the conservatorship. He's on salary. So there's that. For example, when Miss Spears expressed a desire to engage in her career, to record or to perform, including in a worldwide tour, Mr. Spears and a team of professionals, medical and otherwise, provided the structure. Didn't Britney literally cry and break down to the court that she was forced to perform with a high fever? And we know from court documents that her dad was earning a percentage on her tours and was the one approving them. I'm just saying. back to this opposition / statement. Provided the structure, support, and protection that was necessary to ensure Miss Spears' success. And when Miss Spears did not want to engage or could not do so, Mr. Spears and the professional team supported her wishes and enabled her withdrawal. Oh, but they still paid TriStar a whole bunch of money, even when she put her foot down through her attorney and said, I refuse to perform anymore while you're in charge of my life. But okay. As opportunities arose, Mr. Spears first ensured that they were presented to and discussed with Miss Spears. I have questions. Because when she needed a new business manager after TriStar, what did they do? They resigned, really, after they threw a tantrum and left. His legal filing said she was not entitled to be a part of that decision. So there are documents filed with this court that are contrary to what the fuck this says, but we'll go on. And that she understood the obligations involved and was eager to commit before he pursued them on her behalf. There is no... What about the Vegas show that she was signed up for that she talked about in court? This motion. The Vegas show that she signed up for and was supposed to get up and announce and then walked off and walked away from. Was she eager to commit to them? Because it feels like nah. I know that I'm ranting, Fred. We have a pondered emotional support pet that has jumped up as I am ranting and is like, Mom, it's okay. It's okay. I'm not actually stressed. We're animated because I'm annoyed by this motion, but we're good. Fred's like, we got to make sure the humans are okay. We're going to be okay, Fred. This is a good first step at some point. We'll get there. We got to just wade through some of the bullshit first. We got to wade through the code red of it all before we get to it being okay. They go on to say there is no doubt that the conservatorship saved Miss Spears from disaster, supported her when she needed it most, protected her and her reputation from harm, mm, mhm, and facilitated the restoration of her career. For over a decade, the conservatorship functioned the way it was intended, i.e., no one asked any questions, no one objected, and everything just went along smoothly. And Britney played her part. Except we know from her statement in court in June that she felt like that she would be punished if she did anything other. But okay. Miss Spears has vocalized a desire to end the conservatorship. Many of the professionals who were providing her support have resigned, including her former court appointed counsel, and she has found new counsel. Yeah. As his first order of business, Miss Spears' new attorney, oh, good, let's rip into Rosengart. Let's just go right there. Let's go right the fuck there. Let's just attack him. As his first order of business, Miss Spears' new attorney filed a petition to remove Mr. Spears as conservator. But rather than taking the time to review the history of this conservatorship in order to understand factually what has actually occurred, and rather than reaching out to counsel for the conservator and making any attempt to resolve matters cooperatively, Mrs. Spears' new attorney filed this petition precipitously, without adequate investigation, and based on unsubstantiated allegations and improper opinions. Oof. Let's go to footnote 1. Let's get into footnote voice. Footnote voice. Miss Spears' new attorney admitted that he did not even have the client file before filing one of 2 petitions he filed on the same day. Petitioner's new counsel of record does not yet have the client files from prior counsel. Petition for appointment of successor probate conservator of the estate, attachment 3E1 through 5. Right, but he gets to talk to Britney. And Britney said, what I don't, Fred, literally you're stepping on my keyboard. We can't do this. What he said was that Britney wants her dad removed, and her prior counsel filed that motion before, and it was denied. I think the motion filed by Rosengart was a better motion on better grounds than the motion filed by Ingham. My preference, my opinion. Ingham has tried this. This is not like it's brand new that Britney's trying to remove her dad as conservator of the estate. This has been going on for over a year now. But okay, Dad Spears, go off, I guess. Have your moment. Have your moment. Yes, it's a Housewives reference. Yes, it is. All right, back to the petition. The mandate for this court, as it is for Mr. Spears, is to act in the best interest of the Conservatee. Yeah, we know. In order to do so, the court must have accurate and substantiated facts upon which it can rule. Oh, Your Honor, hey, don't listen to the new guy. Like, you know us, Your Honor. You like us. These are the real facts. New guy doesn't even have the client file yet. Yeah, sure. He's spoken to the Conservatee. Yeah, you've heard her talk in court twice. Yeah, what he said in his motion is what she said in court, but that's unsubstantiated. See, she wasn't even sworn in for that testimony, Your Honor. How can we believe her? Let's keep going. You know my opinion. I try with a lot of things to say neutral. My opinion on this one is clear. We have opinions on this. Most of the motions, I'm like, okay, go off. Let's see what the court does. This, I am done. I am so done with this gamesmanship. Okay. Accurate and substantiated facts. Mr. Spears will do his best to provide the factual basis that this court needs and to cooperate in the transition to a new conservator, which is the first time we see, and this will keep coming up, that he is acknowledging that a new conservator is welcomed at this point. Though, don't forget, he fought like fucking hell to make sure Bessemer Trust didn't have full access to the files as co-conservator. And that was less than a year ago. He fought like hell to make sure Bessemer didn't have access. So now he's going to cooperate in the transition. Okay. You know why? Because Rosengart's not fucking around and has painted him into a corner. As part of the transition process, Mr. Spears hopes to work with the court and Mrs. Spears's new attorney. It's just her attorney at this point to resolve pending matters related to his acts as conservator, such as the pending 12th account and a final account to facilitate a smooth transition. When these matters are resolved, Mr. Spears will be in a position to step aside. The 12th accounting is largely them fighting over legal fees. Most of the objections to the 12th accounting are over $500,000 of monies being paid to Holland and Knight for media matters and $1.3 million just to Holland and Knight in legal fees. There are other legal fees. There's another firm at like $700,000 or some shit. There are other legal fees. So the 12th accounting is paying the lawyers. That's the objections that are still outstanding on the 12th accounting. Just so we're all crystal clear what still needs to be cleared up with the 12th accounting. But, Your Honor, there's no urgent circumstance. Nothing urgent to justify Mr. Spears' immediate suspension. Considering the true facts, our facts are right. Our facts, Your Honor, our facts are correct. We are the true king. Ugh. The true facts and the actual circumstances that currently exist, they're lying to you, Your Honor. They're not telling you the truth. They're only reiterating what the fuck Britney has said for herself. But we know best. An orderly transition based on cooperation would most certainly be in the best interest of Miss Spears. You didn't want to cooperate when it was Bessemer. Just saying. Regardless of his formal title, Mr. Spears will always be Miss Spears' father. He will always love her unconditionally, and he will always look out for her best interests. Then why the gamesmanship? Why the gamesmanship? The petition is flawed and relies on inaccurate declarations, including but not limited to the declaration of Lynn Spears. Good. What's in the best interest of your adult child is to attack her mother and the conservator of the person. So let's just get into it. This seems to be what's best. Sarcasm. The petition is based on three sources. One, recent statements made by Miss Spears in court. Two, the declaration of Jody Montgomery, temporary conservator of the person. Temporary because James Spears won't step aside fully as conservator of the person. That's why Jody Montgomery is still temporary. Just in case anyone's forgotten, that wasn't in the introduction facts in this motion. And three, the declaration of Lynn Spears. All of these sources, however, contain inaccuracies and misstatements such that the court cannot rely on them. Recent statements made by Miss Spears, and then they go on to say, all of these sources contain inaccuracies, misstatements, such that the court can't rely on them. Your Honor, you saw Britney speak to the court twice. Don't listen to her. There's inaccuracies and misstatements. Everyone's lying to you but us. This is why the lights are red, friends. This is why the lights are red. Leonard, you can let everyone who's in the chat for the first time know what the red lights mean because we have to keep going or I'm never going to get through this. Because of the code red fuckery of it all. In this first response, Mr. Spears will address the problems with the allegations in the declaration of Lynn Spears. Oh, good. Are we going to be treated to a second response to address Jody Montgomery? Maybe a third response to throw Britney under the bus and why her statements to the court weren't accurate in your opinion. Maybe that's what we're reserving the other responses for. That would be fascinating. At Miss Spears' request and instruction, Lynn has had little, if any, involvement in the conservatorship, let alone Miss Spears' life for almost 13 years. Okay, facts. Lynn has showed up in the last 3 years. Facts. The court cannot rely on the unsupported claims and speculations of someone whom Miss Spears has avoided speaking with for most of her adult life. I'm sorry. How many years ago was it that she stopped talking to her dad? Just a question. Despite this, Mr. Spears and other members of the team of professionals often encourage Miss Spears to speak with her mother, it's not us, with the hope of repairing that relationship, and Miss Spears obliged sometimes. The court must question Lynn's testimony based on how little involvement she has had throughout the conservatorship and her lack of direct knowledge of many of these issues. This includes Lynn's summation of the current state of the relationship between Miss Spears and her father and what may have caused that state to develop. Yeah, Lynn said the final straw was when there was a physical altercation between James Spears and Britney's sons. That would do it for most parents. Oh, it's time for footnote voice. Footnote voice. Lynn makes false allegations against Mr. Spears with reference to Miss Spears's minor children. It has been the practice of the parties in this case not to discuss or refer to the minor children except in sealed documents and proceedings before this court. This is to protect the privacy and safety of the minor children. Accordingly, Mr. Spears will refrain from responding to Lynn's false allegations until such time as it is necessary and appropriate in a sealed proceeding. See where the good guy, Your Honor. Yeah, but it's already been released in the news media, so it's not a secret. As discussed below, Lynn's claims in her declaration are demonstrably false, speculative, intentionally misleading, and/or conclusory. The court therefore cannot rely on the declaration of Lynn Spears as a basis for suspension or removal. Oh, and now we're going to keep going in. Lynn misrepresents how Dr. Benson was chosen, his credentials, and how Miss Spears's treatment plan was developed. Lynn makes several false statements in her declaration regarding Britney's medical care during 2018-2019 and Dad Spears's role in it. Based on these false statements, Lynn draws several erroneous conclusions, upon which, in turn, Britney's new attorney wrongly relies in his petition. He relied on what her mom said, but what mom said is bullshit. First, Lynn falsely testifies that Mr. Spears had absolute control over Miss Spears's healthcare decisions during what she describes as a time of crisis, and then makes unfounded assertions against Britney's then treating psychiatrist, who she says was hired by Mr. Spears. They say, but Mr. Spears did not choose Britney's doctor, Dr. Benson. Britney did. Britney personally interviewed Dr. Benson herself and insisted that he be hired to serve as her doctor. In fact, Britney refused to interview anyone else after she interviewed Dr. Benson, despite being encouraged to do so. So Miss Spears' choice of doctor was honored. I have questions. I have lots of questions. Second, Lynn mislabels Dr. Benson as a, quote, sports enhancement doctor. Dr. Benson was a, is this the one that had passed? It sounds like it might be because they're referring to was. The one that Britney said abused her? Yeah, that one. Dr. Benson was a Harvard-trained psychiatrist, double-boarded in both psychiatry and addiction medicine, who served as a clinical instructor in psychiatry at Harvard Medical School and consulted for individuals in high-performance, high-stress environments such as professional sports, NBA and NFL, business, and entertainment. It sounds like he's a therapist that deals with high-performing individuals, which can also include sports individuals. I feel like this is splitting hairs over the same thing, but okay. Dr. Benson was well suited to treat Miss Spears. Unfortunately, it appears that Lynn has not accepted the full extent to which Miss Spears has had addiction and mental health issues or the level of care and treatment she needs. Way to throw both Lynn and Britney under the bus in this declaration. Look, everything's going, all the gloves are off now. We're putting it under seal to protect Britney. Feels like it's now just throwing everyone under the bus, and this does not sit well with me. Let me know in the chat how it sits with you. Some of this stuff just doesn't sit well with me because it doesn't feel like it's in Britney's best interest. It feels like a pissing contest between all the parties that are at each other's throats. And Britney is ending up being the chew toy in the middle of all of it. Third, Lynn is not a licensed physician, psychiatrist, or addiction specialist, yet she alleges that the medication prescribed by Dr. Benson was entirely inappropriate and that Miss Spears did not want to take the medicine. Britney also said that. But this medication was part of a carefully tailored treatment plan developed by Dr. Benson. It's not what Britney thinks. Jody Montgomery and other medical professionals. Didn't Jody Montgomery come onto this case after this psychiatrist passed away? Because it seems like they're confounding the timeline together here, or conflating the timeline together, because Jody Montgomery didn't come in until 2019, but I think that this doctor passed before that. Further, the plan was approved by the doctors on Spears' medical team, Jody Montgomery, Mr. Spears, Miss Spears' former court-appointed attorney, Sam Ingham, and most importantly, Britney herself in writing, which we do not have access to because the care plans are sealed. We have 5150 viewers in the chat. That's on the stream. That's what I looked up and saw. Just to point out how cheeky numbers can be. All right, let's keep going. And you guys don't forget to do the likey, subscribey, YouTubey, sharey things. All right. This last statement that Miss Spears approved the treatment plan and entering the facility is an undisputed fact that even Jody Montgomery's attorney recently confirmed to the media. I haven't seen that. If anybody sees it, tag me in it. I have questions because it sure didn't sound in court like Britney approved the facility that she hated, or that when she hated it that she was allowed to leave, because one's allowed to change one's mind. Lynn falsely claims that Britney was forced to enter and remain in the treatment facility. Lynn falsely claims that Britney was compelled to enter a treatment facility by Dr. Benson. Miss Spears was not forced by Dr. Benson or anyone else to enter a treatment facility, nor was she threatened with punishment if she did not stay. The facts are that Spears herself agreed to be checked into the facility for the last month of her pre-approved treatment plan. Under what circumstances? She agreed under what circumstances? Like, hey, if you don't do this, you're not going to see your kids, or hey, if you don't do this, you can't do this other thing. Because that's what she said in court. So under what circumstances? What do we mean by agreed? Remember, technically, this is still a voluntary conservatorship. Does it feel voluntary to y'all? She was not on lockdown, but was free to go in and out of the facility after notifying the facility in advance if they approved it. She was free to go as long as she told them, it sounds like. Which she did, including visiting with her boyfriend on weekends and tending to personal appointments, after which she voluntarily returned to the facility. Again, what's voluntary predicated on? Because this conservatorship is also voluntary. What's voluntary predicated on? She visited with her children at the facility. She kept her cell phone and was free to use it except when in session. To be clear, Britney was aware that no one could force her to enter or stay at the facility, both of which were confirmed by her former court-appointed counsel and others. Thus, Lynn's allegations regarding this, quote, time of crisis are wrong. Lynn's credibility is even more undermined by the fact that Britney refused Lynn's request to visit her when she was at the facility, even when Britney welcomed other visitors. Are her kids the other visitors? Like, are her kids and boyfriend the other visitors? I would be curious as to who the other visitors are. Lynn wrongly conflates Mr. Spears' approval of payment with expenses with complete knowledge and control of the underlying activities. Lynn repeats the flawed argument that because Dad Spears was approving the payment for all of Conservatee's expenses, he automatically had, quote, knowledge of the entirety of the circumstances. That is incorrect. As a preliminary matter, there were stretches during the, quote, time of crisis that Mr. Spears was not available due to personal health issues further discussed below. And so his co-conservator of the estate, Andrew Wallet, had to shoulder the process of approving payments of Miss Spears' expenses himself. As of September 2019, Dad Spears formally has been completely cut out of having access to Britney's medical information, medical treatment, other medications, the lone exception being COVID protocol information necessary for Britney's travel. Again, with medical information and decision-making has been in the hands of Jody Montgomery and the medical team that Miss Montgomery has assembled, like the Avengers, apparently. But that has been since 2019. Britney's concerns with this conservatorship go back beyond that. Since February 2020, Ms. Spears' medical expenses are not even paid directly by the conservatorship estate. Rather, they are paid by Jody Montgomery. Mr. Spears is required by court order to provide $10,000 every month to Ms. Montgomery to pay for bills and medical services on behalf of Britney. If that amount is insufficient, which it has been, Mr. Spears is required by the same court order to send whatever additional amount Ms. Montgomery requests, and Ms. Montgomery in turn makes the payments. Dad Spears does not have any control over any of his daughter's medical expenses, including the details or purpose of the underlying activities and treatment. Again, don't know whose perception this is. We'll see if there's a reply to this part or if this is accurate. This is their perception of how things are being run. I'd be surprised if that part of the nuts and bolts is inaccurate, because it either, once again, it either is or it isn't. There either is a court document saying that or there's not. The court orders with regard to the medical stuff are all under seal. Who knows if those will ever become not sealed, but we will see if Jody Montgomery takes issue with these statements or responds to this in any way through her attorneys, or if Britney's attorney responds to this in any way, because that's the only way we're going to know if, if this is accurate or if this is their perception. Because Jody did talk about Dad Spears' control of approving expenses, but it might be that he approves everything but not the medical expenses, because the medical expenses just get paid directly. As discussed next, there is another reason why Lynn's argument equating payment with complete knowledge is wrong. Mr. Spears had to step away from handling Britney's personal and medical matters during the, quote, time of crisis due to his own serious life-threatening medical issues, of which Lynn is well aware. During that time and to this day, Jody Montgomery stepped in to handle Ms. Spears' care and treatment. Contrary to Lynn's testimony, Jody Montgomery, not Dad Spears, handled Ms. Spears' care during the, quote, time of crisis. Lynn wrongly claims this is just Lynn sucks. Lynn's wrong. Don't trust Lynn, Your Honor. I wonder if it's because they feel like Lynn's declaration is the one that can be the most damaging, because you don't spend time with stuff you don't think is damaging, and we're on pages and pages and pages of them attacking what Lynn has had to say. So I don't know if they're worried that the court is going to be like, oh, well, if Lynn said this, I have real concerns and questions, or if they're doing this to try to undermine what Lynn had to say to put a damper in the wave of hate that comes towards Dad Spears in all of this. Curious as to your thoughts on that. They're saying that Lynn wrongly claims that Dad Spears asserted, quote, absolute microscopic control through the conservatorship and this, quote, time of crisis in particular. Again, this is not true and shows an ignorance of facts. In early November 2018, Mr. Spears went to the hospital for a significant health issue, including a major life-threatening surgery. He was not released from the hospital until mid-December 2018. In March 2019, he was again hospitalized for another surgery. Between December 2018 and March 2019, he had to focus on his personal recovery, so he delegated powers and duty regarding Britney's medical care to Jody Montgomery. While Dad Spears was generally apprised of Britney's situation, it was Jody Montgomery, Dr. Benson, and other professionals, with the ongoing approval of Sam Ingham, who handled her medical care during this, quote, time of crisis. To the extent that Britney is upset with being admitted to the treatment facility, her medication, or her specific treatment plan, she is directing her anger towards the wrong person. Don't be mad at us. At present, it is unclear whether Ms. Spears knows or remembers the extent to which Jody Montgomery, Sam Ingham, and the medical team were involved in everything she is complaining about. Okay. Lynn's criticism of Dad Spears being informed of Britney's activities is misplaced. As conservator, Dad Spears is obligated and responsible for staying informed. Lynn criticizes Dad for relying on various members of Spears' household staff, care team, and security to stay informed of Spears' activity. Lynn argues that, quote, such scrutiny is exhausting and terrifying, like living in custody. The reality is that Miss Spears is under a conservatorship, which means she is under the care and supervision of others, personally and financially. That's flippant. The truth is, he has to. Lynn's argument again shows her ignorance of the duties and responsibilities that Mr. Spears has as conservator. Mr. Spears did not and does not scrutinize Britney's every move. Britney comes and goes as she pleases, but Dad Spears and the rest of the team of professionals must remain vigilant on a daily basis in this conservatorship because problems can and do arise at any moment given Britney's medical issues and celebrity status. The fact that Lynn does not understand this, again, shows how little she knows of Miss Spears' issues and how little credence the court should give her declaration. I imagine that we're going to see Lynn's attorneys responding to this, but maybe not. Instead of criticizing Dad Spears, Lynn should be thanking him. Oh, fucking hell. Instead of criticizing Dad Spears, Lynn should be thanking him for ensuring Britney's well-being and for persevering throughout the years-long tenure requiring his 365, 24/7 attention, long days and sometimes late nights to deal with the day-to-day and emergency issues, all to protect Britney and as those around her charged with that's awkward for me. Sorry, hold on. To deal with the day-to-day and emergency issues, all to protect Britney and those around her charged with protecting his daughter. That's an awkward sentence for me. Why are we protecting those around her, charged with protecting her? Okay. Mr. Spears did not force Britney to do anything. He has always included her in the decision-making. I'm pulling that document for the next live stream where it talks about the fact that Britney's not entitled to know who her business manager is and she doesn't have to be consulted on the decision, because they said that with their full chest to the court last year. He's always included her in decision making and tried to do everything in his power to accommodate her wishes while holding her accountable to do what she agreed to do. Lynn has only had limited involvement in Britney's life these last 13 years. She has not had a parental role in her life for decades, nor has Lynn had any part in helping her daughter through the conservatorship. Thus, Lynn does not have personal knowledge. This is like directly legal. You can't rely on statements to the court that someone doesn't have personal knowledge of. Lynn does not have personal knowledge about the current state of the relationship between Britney and her father or the recent history of the relationship. Lynn's allegations in her declaration are without foundation, meaning the court can't consider them. Dad Spears has not coerced Britney to do anything. By her own admission, Miss Spears is strong and stands up for what she wants. Are you kidding me? Let's use Britney's words in court to prove that her dad hasn't coerced her to do anything. We heard what she said on June 23rd. We heard her. She was on the phone for hours crying, and he loved it, she said. He loved having control of someone as powerful as me. Don't turn around and say he couldn't control her. By her own words, she can stand up for what she wants. Woof. Woof. Woof on that. Okay. Dad Spears has tried to do everything in his power to accommodate Britney's wishes, whether regarding her personal life, family, or career, while fulfilling his duties and obligations as conservator, protecting her from others seeking to take advantage of her, and ultimately looking out for her best interest. Sometimes that has meant telling Miss Spears that as an adult, she must follow through on agreements or promises she makes, whether it involves her medical care, career, or personal life. This is not coercion. It is the type of good advice that a conservator or father must give. That is some patronizing shit right there. What do you think? Patronizing as hell? Patronizing as hell? I want to know. I want to know. Man. Lynn's claim that Mr. Spears cannot put his daughter first is ludicrous. Mr. Spears has constantly acted in the best interest of his daughter. Finally, Lynn claims that Dad Spears is incapable of putting his daughter's interest ahead of his own. This is an outstanding statement, given that for the past 13 years, Mr. Spears has been singularly focused on taking care of his daughter's health, safety, and financial well-being. The only time he stepped away from his duties, as mentioned earlier, was when he had his own serious medical issues, was hospitalized, and had months of recovery himself. I wonder if he was still paid the $16,000 a month during that time. I'm gonna have to go look at like the 10th and 11th accounting. I'm very curious. Was he still getting paid during that time? Mhm. Continuing, Mr. Spears's history of admirable service on behalf of his daughter is not argument, but fact. That sentence is recycled from numerous other motions. They've said that more than once. The court has seen it firsthand, Your Honor. Remember? We're the good guys. Everyone else is lying to you. The court, together with the comprehensive, dedicated, and steady assistance of the probate court investigator, hey, investigator, remember you like us, has scrutinized and approved Mr. Spears's actions each year for the last 12 years, and sometimes more frequently than annually, without any objection from Britney or her former court-appointed counsel. Oh, except for the 12th accounting when they object to literally all the legal fees, but okay. So not only has the court scrutinized Spears's actions, but so did Miss Spears's former court-appointed counsel. It doesn't mean they did their jobs. If, as Lynn claims, Mr. Spears has acted in such an awful manner, the court would have heard about it. Isn't that what the fuck Britney said in June and July and in 2019 when she said that it felt like the court didn't listen to her and it made her feel dead? Am I crazy? Because I feel like I'm being gaslit reading this thing. like we can't just rewrite history. I'm trying to just go through it so you know what is said, and I'm. Someone typed this with a straight face. In stark contrast, it appears that Lynn is the one who was incapable of putting her daughter's interest ahead of her own. Shift the blame, shift the blame. Your Honor, her mother has not been involved. Like, what kind of mother even does that? Where has she been? Oh, maybe not wanting to fight with James Spears. Maybe. Lynn has not been involved in her daughter's life for most of the past 12 years. Despite their estranged relationship, the conservatorship estate during the entire duration of the conservatorship has paid and continues to pay for the mansion in Louisiana where Lynn lives, including all of her utility bills, weekly maid service, and all maintenance, totaling upwards of $150,000 per year and to date nearly $2 million in total. Damn, spill the tea. Didn't Britney want to buy her mom a house? Because that's how I remember it going down. That was Britney's choice. We need lip gloss. At least we can have glossy lips while we get through the fuckery together. Right? Right. Furthermore, they go on, it was Lynn, not Mr. Spears, who exploited their daughter's pain and trauma for Lynn's personal profit by publishing a book about their daughter. The book resulted in a lawsuit filed by Sam Lufty against Miss Spears and Lynn, and the conservatorship estate incurred significant legal fees to resolve it. Oh, and then filed restraining orders against Sam Lufty. Footnote 3. Footnote voice. The court does not need to be reminded about Sam Lufty. The conservator obtained 2 permanent restraining orders from this court against Mr. Lufty on behalf of Miss Spears and others, and there was significant litigation with Mr. Lufty for many years. While Mr. Lufty is not supposed to have any further involvement in the conservatorship, Lynn's counsel recently served Mr. Lufty's attorney with copies of Lynn's pleadings. Lynn's in communication with Sam Lufty, Your Honor. Remember? We hate him. Oi. I mean, because Sam was the one at the hospital with Britney saying, are we even doing this? In the motions, I just have to say this, in the motions with regard to not giving Britney notice that the conservatorship was coming, the major point was Britney would not be able to keep the information from Sam Lufty, and he would try to intercede and stop the conservatorship from going forward. That's why they targeted him. Just saying. I don't know if there are other issues there. I truly don't. But he was the one at the hospital with her when she was on that hold, when this was all going on behind the scenes. And they didn't want Britney to know because they didn't want him to know because they didn't want him to intercede with this conservatorship getting placed on Britney. So let's continue. The court must rule based on a historical knowledge of the case and substantiated facts. Don't listen to what Britney said in court, Your Honor. We need substantiated facts. And we have good history, Your Honor. Remember? We're people, Your Honor. Not mere speculation, conclusory allegations, or public sentiment. It's interesting how they attacked Britney's statement by attacking Lynn and kind of attacking Britney's statement because they knew they cannot come out full-chested and attack Britney's statement, but they did too. If the public knew all of the facts of Miss Spears's personal life, not only her highs, but also her lows, all of the addiction and mental health issues that she has struggled with, and all of the challenges of the conservatorship, they would praise Mr. Spears for the job he has done, not vilify him. I'm sorry. What? Just go ahead. Just put the puke face emojis in the chat. That's where I'm at too. But the public does not know all the facts, and they have no right to know, except you're literally saying it and alluding to it, which is even worse. You're just alluding to it. It's like just the tip. It's bad. You would thank us. You would thank us. It's just written in the most okay. Yep. But the public does not know all the facts, and they have no right to know, so there will be no public redemption from Mr. Spears. That's fine with Mr. Spears, so long as the court acts based not on the opinions of those pandering to the public and social media, but on substantiated facts and all of the highly confidential information that the court has in its possession to make decisions that are in Miss Spears' best interest. Like the capacity declaration, saying that she is not able to care for herself. That would be one of those things. Oh, wait. There isn't one. People are allowed to have mental health issues and addiction issues and not have all of their freedoms and liberties and rights stripped from them. The court has full access to the details of the conservatorship, including but not limited to the immense challenges that Mr. Spears has faced and overcome in his previous role as conservator of the person and his ongoing role as conservator of the estate. Are the challenges that Britney Spears didn't want to work with him because she doesn't want him in charge of her life? Those challenges that he's overcome, is that what they're alluding to? I wonder. The court has full access to and has reviewed the numerous, lengthy, and detailed confidential probate court investigators' reports, none of which have ever recommended Mr. Spears be suspended or removed. Who are the investigators talking to? Are they talking to the medical team? We don't know. It's sealed. The court has full access and has reviewed all of Mr. Spears' unredacted accountings for over a decade and has approved them without any objections from Mrs. Spears or her former court-appointed counsel. We have questions about that too, except for the 12th accounting, which is pending. Ultimately, the court knows what Mr. Spears is saying is true. He loves his daughter, and he is acting as he always acted, in only her best interest. Britney, Daddy loves you. Oh. Mr. Spears continues to serve dutifully, and he should not be suspended or removed, and certainly not based on false allegations. Mr. Spears is willing to step down when the time is right, but the transition needs to be orderly and include a resolution of matters pending before the court. I feel like, we talked about whether this was Game of Thrones, and I actually feel more like we're now in the Hunger Games, and James Spears is just President Snow. I'll step aside when the time is right. In order to reach that result, the court should encourage all parties to meet and confer in order to resolve those pending matters in the best interest of Ms. Spears. Your Honor, tell them to resolve the 12th accounting, the one that has all the legal fees in it, and then he'll consider stepping aside when the time is right. But they're still asking the court to deny the petition for suspension and removal. Britney's attorney is going to have a lot to say about this because I don't think denying the petition for removal is what's going to be helpful. I think the court needs to deny the suspension and grant the removal, seeing that he said he's willing to step aside. Fine. I'm granting the petition for removal. I'm giving a 2-month window to allow for a transition, get it done. As of this date, this is the new conservator. This is you being yeeted. That's it. And they tried to get there with Bessemer, and then Bessemer removed themselves. That's why we're all back at this again. There's only a few more pages, and then we're going to get to questions. This is all service, and this is his verification. So that's it. I, James Spears, have read the foregoing and know its contents. The facts set forth are true. It's true. What I say is true. Believe me, Your Honor. All right, let's talk about the lawyers. I lied. We're going to talk about the lawyers' responses to this, and then I'm going to get to questions and get to your super chats. Thank you so much for them. Take a moment to go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I know there's over 5,000 of you watching. Thank you so much. And go ahead and share this with anyone who might want a full breakdown with snark and whiskey, because that's what's happening this evening. Rosengart's statement first. Britney's attorney told Variety, and I don't know if told others directly, but this I saw reported first in Variety, said that, let's see, where's his full statement? Where is Rosengart's full statement? I'm just going to pull. Yes, just pull this up. There's so many ads. It's hard. But where is speaking up more than before, Spears has been urging the judge to remove her father from the conservatorship through blistering testimonies this summer, even telling the court she wants to press charges against her father for conservatorship abuse. Her father's decision to step down is being praised as a major victory by the singer's new attorney, Matthew Rosengart, who said he intends to investigate Spears' conduct over the past 13 years and plans to depose him under oath. Spears' attorney cites the public battle with his daughter and his reasoning to step down, but states there are no actual grounds for suspending or removing him. Variety reached out to Dad Spears' attorney, Vivian, for further comment. There are, in fact, no actual grounds for suspending or removing Mr. Spears as conservator. There are. Her best interest is grounds. And it's highly debatable whether a changing conservator at this time would be in Britney's best interest. Her father's court doc filed Thursday states. This is a major victory for Britney Spears and another step towards justice, the pop star's attorney Rosengart says in a statement obtained by Variety. I announced in court on July 14th that after 13 years of status quo, it was time for Mr. Spears to be suspended or removed as conservator, and that my firm and I would move aggressively and expeditiously. I hate it when it jumps. The ads make it so hard. I was at expeditiously. Aggressively and expeditiously for that outcome. 12 days later, my firm filed a petition for Mr. Spears' suspension or removal based on strong, insurmountable legal grounds, which were unequivocally supported by the law and all parties involved, including Jody Montgomery, Spears, and her medical team. The singer's legal team states that while Spears stepping down is a major win for their client, they are still unhappy by her father's attacks. We are pleased that Mr. Spears and his lawyer have today conceded in a filing that he must be removed. We are disappointed, however, by their ongoing shameful and reprehensible attacks on Ms. Spears and others. We look forward to continuing our vigorous investigation into the conduct of Mr. Spears and others over the past 13 years, while he reaped millions of dollars from his daughter's estate. And I look forward to taking Mr. Spears' sworn deposition in the near future, Rosengart adds. His statement concludes, in the interim, rather than making false accusations and taking cheap shots at his own daughter, Mr. Spears should remain silent and step aside immediately. Yes, that. Lynn Spears, it seems that she spoke to Us Weekly through her attorney, and the statement is just that. Lynn Spears is pleased Jamie has agreed to step down. Lynn entered into this conservatorship to protect her daughter almost 3 years ago. She has accomplished what she set out to do. She will have no further comment. I wonder if as she reads this again, she might want to say a thing or two, but we'll see what happens. That is Gladstone Jones's statement on behalf of Lynn Spears. Chat, I'm back with you. We're going to get to super chats and to questions. Y'all, this is so much. What are my cats doing? Do we have both Ponards back there? Hello, gentlemen. Yes, we do. Hi, George. Hi, Fred. All right. Jimmy said, can the court make Dad Spears pay for all the legal fees he's currently incurring by fighting this removal? Yes, they can. Yes, the court can. I'm hesitant to be optimistic that the court will do that, but it's possible. Brittany T, caught alive. You make learning fun. Thank you. That is what we're here for. It is literally my goal on this channel to break down the legal shit about the pop culture stories that we care about and really make sure that we understand what's happening and the ins and outs, and then my thoughts about why they're moving for his removal versus just moving to end the conservatorship, why he's fighting so hard, and give a little bit of the history of the other things he's fought about. Because this is not like, oh, when the time is right, we'll step down. He has been fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting. Question, don't you think Rosengart has got this? I can't wait for that response. I absolutely think he's got it. He's already painted Dad Spears into the corner and said, look, if he fights this, it speaks volumes. Of course he's fighting it. Of course his attorneys are fighting it. It almost feels, and this is completely my opinion, it almost feels like this, well, if you cooperate with us, and if you work with us, and if you have a meet and confer with us, and we get this 12th accounting done, mind you, the issue that they're fighting on the 12th accounting is legal fees. If we get this 12th accounting done, then we can talk about the transition. It feels like a carrot and a stick. Like, do what we want, and then we'll step aside. How fucking manipulative does that feel? I feel manipulated. Do you? Does it feel manipulative to you? I'm going to put up a poll. I'm going to put up a poll in just a second and ask. No, Tech can put up a poll. Tech, will you put up a poll and ask if this motion feels manipulative? I want to know. Just me. Have you seen anything showing Judge Penny canceled several yearly reviews? May the force be with you always. I have not seen anything. I don't know if she can cancel them, and I've seen no mention of it. Question, is Judge Penny being paid by Dad Spears? If the judge was being paid, that would be a huge fucking problem. I really absolutely hope not. I hope not. I hope not. Could Dad Spears' lawyers be on the hook at any point for unethical behavior in the media matters? I don't know if it's unethical. The thing is, the court will decide if they can charge that to the estate or not. They're allowed to handle what their client wants them to handle. And if their client's asking them to charge it to the estate, I think they have kind of a workaround. It's up to Britney's attorney to object, and it's up to the court to deny it. So I don't love the way it feels, but I don't know if they are doing anything that is improper legally. I think there's, I mean, I wouldn't do that, but they're like, no, this is protecting the estate. This has to protect it. I didn't even swoop to questions. I'm sorry. I made the time stamping harder. We'll just cheers. We'll just swoop to questions now. Lady Justice is back there going, what the fuckery? I know, girl. Here, like, have a drink. Boo. I can't do this on camera. It's very hard. No. Do you see George? George is like, what is that? What is that? He's so funny. All right. Thank you for putting up the poll, Tech. I appreciate it. Kibby says, histrionic, seeks attention, talks dramatically, strong opinions, rapidly changing emotion, thinks relationships are closer than they are. It is a great definition that applies to more than just Dad Spears, doesn't it? Oh, man. Question. If Dad Spears is yeeted, can Britt go after Dad legally for misconduct and recoup money? Yes. The court needs to solve jurisdiction. That's the next step. First step, yeet Dad. Second step, investigate. Third step, reduce the controllingness of the conservatorship. Next step, end the conservatorship. These are steps. Question, if this is a voluntary conservatorship, why can't Britney just say, nah, I'm out? I think at this point, the investigation needs to happen. Nobody's ever filed a motion to remove her from the conservatorship. No one, which says a lot. Do I like Britney's attorney? Lisa, I like the motions that I'm seeing filed by him. I see where the train of thought is going, and I like how clearly he laid this out for the court. I think the gloves are going to come off real soon. I think Rosengart has been being respectful, professional, and firm. Um, but then you get this motion with mudslinging from Vivian Thoreen, and I think the gloves are going to come back off. Because prosecutors normally are kind of like, we good until we're not good. And once you're not good, like it's just over. So I'm going to get to some of the back super chats. I know I missed a number of them. I'm going to try to sweep everything. Thank you so much. I've got to just say, not sponsored, but I love StreamYard. I love scrolling back up in my infinite scroll and seeing all of the comments. Missy, it feels narcissistic to me. All of the vomity faces. I know we're all on the same point. I know we're all on the same page. Kibby, thank you. Not a narcissist, histrionic. Ugh, right? Tippy Tiff says they're gaslighting her to make her unstable. I hope that Britney's attorneys give her the like, this is what's being said and this is why. Because I think it's really helpful when people understand like this is why these actions are being taken. Because it is really a lot. Like it's a lot. I'm going to try to get to everything. I'm sorry if I don't. Fee simple absolute. I love it. I love it so much. I think I say that every time, but I love your YouTube handle. You've been killing it with your analysis on Shaw Girardi and Britney. Love the channel. Thank you so much for the compliments. We will always take compliments. We always appreciate it. Riding tonight after I made my YouTube short from the car at my kids' back to school night and then walked in and was like, so what we doing for third grade? Oh, times tables. Goody. Husband, times tables. Have fun. Jennifer H. said, hi from London. Thank you for the impromptu live question. Does Britney pay every time a motion like this is filed? Yes, she does. However, Rosengart made clear in his last motion that he is going to argue that the objections are not for the benefit of the estate. And because the objections are not for the benefit of the estate, they should be paid by James Spears himself. And I think they'll cite how much this motion attacked Lynn Spears and say, look, how is attacking the mother of the Conservatee for the benefit of anyone? And I think they will use the motion against Dad Spears to argue that that he shouldn't be paying this through the estate. And I'll be very interested to see if the court does that. And I will be very critical if the court does not do that. And I will want to know all the legal grounds for why not. I will be very critical if the court doesn't do that. You guys, the back end of my channel is still not letting me see super chats, so I'm trying to get to everything. Octo, it's so good to see you. We are definitely DEFCON red. So if I miss anything, again, I apologize, and I will see them when I go back in the stream. Aboro said, I feel like Jamie Spears and his girlfriend Vivian, allegedly just his lawyer, but I understand, gaslights every opposing person opinion. And when it doesn't serve this blatant money exploitation scheme against Britney, my heart lit up when she got her iPad. Me too. Me too. Me too. Me too. I'm going to try to get to a few more of these and then back to questions. Thank you, Octo. I hope Brit sees this so she knows the law nerds get it. I hope she sees all the support she has, at least someone on her team does, and see that we see through the BS. We see through it. We absolutely see through it. So Amanda says, what are your thoughts on her, Jamie Lynn saying she hasn't received a penny and benefited from her sister at all? Doesn't she have a condo that Britney paid for? I mean, I think Jamie Lynn's probably trying to distance herself. I don't know enough about the full history of Britney and Jamie Lynn and what has and hasn't been paid for. I know there's a Florida beach condo that Jamie Lynn uses that Britney paid for. So I know that Jamie Lynn's going to be writing a book, and there's going to be interest in it because of the family stuff, and that's benefit as well. So we'll see. More questions. All right, we're going to try. I like the new infinite scroll feature, but then it takes me a minute more. Abro says, I feel like every step of freedom Britney achieves, it brings out the energy of her 2016 album, Glory. It was like herself and is too underrated. I think Glory is also underrated. I think that Britney has found her strength and that this motion isn't going to knock her off her center, if you will. I think this is just more and more why she needs to fight, because she doesn't need to be gaslit by her dad's attorneys. And she doesn't need them throwing jabs at her being like, well, if the public only knew. And I think those jabs are to try to cover after Britney's very public statements. JBB, this is just because you had to read all this mess. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I appreciate that so much. It's good to see everybody in the chat. There are so many of you, and I'm sure there's some first-time chatters. I want to go ahead and close the poll and see where we came up with, and then I want to see who's first time in the chat with a 1. Go ahead and do the likey, subscribey things. Kathy says, for your whiskey funds, because after reading this hot mess, you're going to need more. I mean, we might. I'm going to go stream with Popcorn Planet for a little bit after this. I will probably be around the YouTubes for a little while longer for sure. Judy, you got this cabinet fund because after reading this, you'll need some kitty. I will. I mean, my support animals came in and they were like, girl, mom's mad. Yes, mom is roiling a little bit. Mock question, did Fatboy Slim write this response? The praise you lyrics match well. I love that question. I understand this, Christiana, literally shaking with anger. This motion made me angry too. It just, this motion made me angry too. Tiffany Wright, if only you had $1 for every time you had to read in her best interest. I mean, it feels authentic when it's written by the other side. Like, it's in her best interest. She wants him out. Her medical team wants him out. It's fine. This is a great question, Darlena. Who determines best interest? It should be in consideration with Britney and her medical team. Britney's wants and needs should be considered, and Britney's statements should be considered in her best interest. And then the court gets to decide, but it's very, very subjective. Scott's Irish, sounds like Jamie is telling the court, hey, you're complicit in this too. You knew everything and approved. Low-key blackmail. It does have a smacking of, the court didn't see anything wrong. The court didn't do this. The court said everything was fine. It definitely has that. But also, yes, it is the judge's job to rely on the investigator, but the person who should be objecting, the person who should be the most actively looking out for Britney was always Sam Ingham. If neither sides object, I don't know why the court would question things. It's like, you're not objecting, nobody's objecting, then everybody's on the same page. The court has a lot of cases that they go over. So I don't know. I'm sure the court has a lot more questions now that all of this is blowing up, but we'll see. We'll see. But yes, it feels a little like that too. Heart of Inspiration, amazing job as always. Well, thank you. I'm wondering if we really think that the removal will happen. Yes. And if so, will Britney have recourse for looking into possible probate court misconduct as well? Her attorney is going to look at everyone. He's the new kid on the block. He's like, I don't care. You, all of it. I have questions about all of it. He's going to start with her dad, and he is going to start with the money that was spent, and with TriStar, he's made that clear. Where is the money going? Those are the first questions for sure. Hello, Brandis Bedazzled. How many men have blown through fortunes, trash careers, had mental health issues, addiction, DUIs, and not lost their fortunes and liberties? I mean, I think we can count them. And isn't that literally Robert Downey Jr. before he got a redemption arc with Iron Man? He was allowed to kind of crash and burn on his own and then work his way back up into public favor and standing. Also, I don't think people should lose public favor and standing just because they have addiction issues. Addiction is a thing. Mental health is a thing. Yes, people should be held responsible for their behaviors, but also there should be some compassion in our world. And the world was not compassionate to Britney for years, or the media wasn't. And I think that we're getting to a place where the world can be more compassionate for Britney. Did Dad Spears' motion feel manipulative? 98% of you said yes. Thank you to the 1,000 of you that voted on that. I appreciate it. Allie, thank you for copying the super chats. I appreciate you. Some of the ones it looks like I missed were from Jess. Hello from Missouri. I'm so thrilled I caught a live. Thank you. Austinite Swifty said the cat rocks. Thank you. The cat rocks. Hello from London. I stayed up for this. Thank you. Tico Bone said, can Judge Penny deny this and leave James Spears? I mean, he said he would step aside, but yes, she can deny the motion to remove him. That's on the table. I will be stunned if that's the route she goes again. I guess I won't be stunned. Nothing stuns me at this point, but I will be very disappointed if that's the route she goes again. Lala Vaughn said, will it be easier to end the conservatorship now that he's gone? And will he be able to come back like a bad case of fleas again? I like that you said fleas, not herpes. Once he kind of steps aside, it would be very hard to bring him back in. So I think getting him out and keeping him out is the best. Kevin Kimball said, guys, gals, and non-binary pals, we've got a white knight up in here. I love, thank you, Kevin, for the super chat. Sierra Daly said, shots, can we all do a drink along live stream? Yes, but not to this motion because I don't want people to feel very, very drunk. We'll do a drink along tomorrow and, a hydrate along for all of our sober friends as well. Because man, oh man, with this. All right, let me get to a few more. Because I know there were a few more. We got to histrionic. Michelena, I hope I said that right. I am so glad I got off work in time to see this. Me too. I'm glad he's stepping down. I wish they would end the conservatorship, but maybe a money thing. I talked about that earlier in stream. I think that the process from here will be remove Dad, loosen up the conservatorship of the person so Britney feels more comfortable and supported, change out team as necessary, investigate Dad Spears, then deal with ending the conservatorship. There's a long road to go here before the conservatorship ends if they're going to investigate Dad Spears while the court still has authority over this conservatorship. Britton, do you think the upcoming court case will go Britney's way, or do you think they'll side with Dad Spears? I want to see what Rosengart says in his next motion. I think in best interest of Britney would be listening to her and her statements to the court and listening to her medical team. Jody Montgomery has represented that this is what the medical team says. Jody Montgomery can submit declarations under seal from Britney's doctors, from Britney's psychiatrist, saying this is why we think this is in her best interest. And I would hope that the court would listen to not only Britney's desires, but her team. So that is what it is. This is absolutely Code Red worthy, and it is Code Red. Missy, thank you. We did all of the rainbow for our vacation, and I love the Pride band from this year. Tomorrow I am getting my nails done, and I haven't even gotten to go over this yet, but I have this amazing package from Holo Taco that has all of the new purpley polishes in it that I will share on Instagram because this packaging is fantastic. So we will be doing that soon. And I think I'm going more purpley with the nails tomorrow, but maybe just sparkly, we think. Lawrence said this whole statement has been an exercise in gaslighting all of us. Britney, the public, the media, the court, everyone. It's interesting how the headlights broke on this. The headlines really broke Dad resigns. And it's like, well, did he though? He said he's willing to step aside if. And that feels like, if you give me what I want, 12th accounting be resolved, then I'll give you what you want and go ahead and transition aside. That's how it feels to me, which is why I said Dad Spears resigning ? But we got to the point where he said, I will step aside. And I didn't think we'd ever get there. So at least we're somewhere. Question, will Dad Spears give her a path to ending the conservatorship entirely? Yes, but it also gives her a path to investigate Dad Spears and to feel supported. And that is what What is most important in this is that Britney feels supported by her team and those around her and feels that she can trust them so that she actually can, without her dad in control, start to recover from the trauma that she has been through. And she said in court, this whole thing has been traumatic. I also probably think that being a child star and being treated in public the way she had been is probably also very traumatic. But I think allowing her some safety to really regain her footing in her own life is critically important. Question: could Brittany get a restraining order against Jamie? Yeah, if he's gone and they have one with the kids. At least if he's not in jail, she should never be forced to be in his presence. And if he's removed as conservator, she won't have to be. And he also won't be getting paid by her. Imagine how that would feel. It just in your gut every month, knowing the money that you've worked for is going to someone who you don't want to be paid. It's just like, ugh. It's a gut punch. It's got to be a gut punch every single time. Every single time. So, um, question: can we buy Emily a siren when the red lights just aren't enough? Maybe we'll have to make a little graphic the way we have the intro for Court of Public Opinion and stuff. But I'm very excited for Court of Public Opinion tomorrow night, by the way. Oof, so gross, you eat them all. I mean, Josie, I can completely I feel yes, I feel you. I feel you. I can't wait for a Rosengart response. I mean, I'm sure it's gonna come in hot. Question: this seems like they are using the court and legal filings to put out PR statements and um extort the legal team or extort to get payment for the legal team. I've said that more and more we're seeing court filings, particularly in public and high profile cases, become PR. You know why? You can't sue anyone for what they say in court filings. It's not defamation, it's protected. Defamation is a non-privileged statement. Court documents are privileged statements. And so a lot can be said in the way of court documents. They're not supposed to be blatant lies. Court documents are supposed to be true, but true in the most beneficial form to the person who's writing it. They are still adversarial proceedings, and court documents are written to benefit the side that's writing them. So all of that has to be kept in mind. But Jesus, this just felt like low blows to me. So Cincinnati Girl said Jamie does have a $47 million bond, and that is one of the things to protect the estate from being misused that will come up when this gets investigated. And we will get deeper into that as I'm sure as we get down the road. Like, we're not out of this thing. We've got a long way to go and a short time to get there. We're going to do what they say can't be done. Okay, stop, Emily, stop. But that's going to come up as this investigation that Rosengart is promising comes up. Question: if Brittany didn't have the capacity to pick her attorney, how was she able to select her own doctor? Nick, you raised such a logical and reasonable question. Yes, agreed, which is why I have questions about James' statement. Tia, hello. Dr. Badass, Emily needs a refill. This shows dad only cares about the green and not what's in her best interest. Dad needs to be on the floor for a 5150. I mean, I don't need a refill at this moment. We're good, but I have another ice cube. So before I stream more, because I'm going to pop over to Popcorn Planet when I'm done here, that link will be in the description, and I'll drop it in the chat before I leave. I will probably have a little bit more, but I have to be up early tomorrow because I'm on AM radio in Boston tomorrow to talk about this. Dad Spears, I didn't manipulate her into doing the things I want. Also, Dad Spears, I leave if you do this thing that I want you to do. Katie, yes. Yes. So succinct, so accurate. Exactly that. Exactly the fuck that. I don't manipulate anyone. I'm not leaving unless you paid my attorneys. Yes. 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 Question: do you expect Britney to provide further public testimony? I don't know at this point if she will. But I don't know. I don't expect anything in the next coming court dates. I think she needs to let Rosengart fight for her. Question: can Britney sue the court if it turns out they don't have jurisdiction? Mm, there are questions about jurisdiction from way, way back because this might have been removed to federal court. I would have to think much harder on what the process would be to go after the court because you can appeal the court. You can't really sue the court for damages. But that ship has sailed so long ago. I don't think there's any remedy at this point. And you cannot sue a judge personally. Like you can't just go sue Judge Penny as a person for damages. They're protected by the nature of their job and they have an absolute immunity in doing their job. Ali C, this is a great question. This document has been filed with the court. What happens next? Will Britt respond via lawyers? Will the court respond? Will Lynn via her lawyer respond? I think Lynn's statement to Us Weekly indicates that maybe she won't respond. But if I'm Lynn, I'm like, no, fuck that shit. But it also might not be in the best interest of Britney for Lynn and Jamie Spears to be going back and forth at one another through legal filings. And Lynn has to pay for her own attorneys. But Britney's attorney, I'm sure, will respond because generally you get the motion or the petition to remove, you get the opposition, which is what this is, and then you get a response. And that will happen. Normally it's like 7 days after the opposition, but the next court hearing is not till September 29th. So has a little bit more time to file that before the September 29th court date, which will be very interesting. I should be in LA that day, but I will be keeping an eye on it because I will be at Vid Summit. We talked about that, Renee B, and it was so good that I pulled it up again. Does the court view these weird PR motions in a bad light? I don't know how this court views things. I haven't seen enough of what the court has said to have a sense for how this judge reacts. Some courts do, some courts don't. We're going to talk a little bit about the Ron Richards, Erica Jane legal documents tomorrow night because the court was just like, no, Erica, fuck off. No, Ron Richards is going to say things on Twitter and you're going to shut up. Like you're not bringing these motions. I think it's delay. And the court was not happy with that at all and made it very clear. I don't know how this court feels because this court has not done a lot of really thoroughly written opinions on things. So I don't know. Living Sweetly, good to see you. Have they asked for a forensic financial audit? Not yet. I feel really dirty about the motion. I mean, same. We're going to need a bath this evening before I go to bed. But that will come in the investigation after a new conservator of the estate is appointed. What I think will happen is that individual will start doing a forensic evaluation and audit. And the person they're proposing is someone the court's familiar with and someone who has a background in forensic accounting. The Gutless Warrior, good to see you. First live in a while watching with my own paw nerds, Remus and Nymphadora. Stoked to watch a live. Remus and Nymphadora, Fred and George say hello, as do I. I love the Potter named paw nerds. James, pay me. M Max, also Vivian Thoreen, pay me. Like also H&K, also the other lawyers. I have videos in the Britney playlist going on with that. For sure. So Emma C says, imagine having to pay someone to insult you. Yep. I feel like all of us need to take a shower after this. Also, yep. Tia says, oh, daddy better get some non-waterproof mascara. Yes. The former federal prosecutor is clearly coming for James Spears. GH fan for life. This entire situation is so depressing. Britney is so strong. I couldn't deal with having such an awful family. I feel horribly for Britney. She is in the middle of the push-pull on this. I am glad that when she spoke in court, first of all, she sounded forceful in her voice. She sounded done. And I hope that drive pushes her through this wave of bullshit so that she can get to the other side where she wants to be. The first part of that being her dad not in charge of this. So can Rosengart petition to get the files that Ingham is not handing over? Amanda, he will get them. I mean, he shouldn't have to petition them. If Ingham doesn't hand them over within a timely period, the court will make that happen, but he should get them. There's also quite a lot of knowledge with regard to this conservatorship, and asking dad to be removed on her best interest doesn't need the historical information that H&K want it to need, because it's what's in her best interest right now. It's not what happened 13 years ago. It's not, oh, her dad saved her ass. No, right now, this is not what's best for her. Going forward, this is not what's best for her. So we need to look at what's happening now. What happened in June, what happened in July, and what happened a year ago when Britney said to the court, you didn't listen to me and it made me feel dead. She said that to the judge. That should carry more weight than anything. And I very much hope that it does. I don't want to believe that this judge has been in the system so long that they've become jaded and don't hear Britney saying, I will be okay, and I will be okay and better without my father, because then what's in her best interest is getting rid of him. And it's really not that hard. Soapbox down. I apologize. Cannot wait for more lawyer sass from Rosengart. Same. Lynn's does suck too. If you want to look, I don't doubt that they all suck at this point. I don't doubt it at all, which is why Britney needs another team around her. But Alicia, battle stations, right? I mean, it feels that way. Jessica said, is this another tactic to slow progress? No. Coming off as cooperative gives more time to hide things. Will the court ever admit this was done wrong? I don't know if the court will ever admit that this was done wrong. All the court has to admit on this motion is that it's in Britney's best interest to have someone else handling her financial affairs, and that would be the best thing moving forward. And James even agrees. So we're just going to go ahead and do that. This isn't a delay on any motion. There's a time for an opposition and a time for a reply. This motion was supposed to be heard in December. It's already been bumped up to September. So I don't think that this is, delay. I am sure the boyfriend searches YouTube. He will see all of this. I hope so. Hi, Sam. Keep fighting till your girl, we love her. And that we think a lot of this is bullshit. Question, what time are you going live on Popcorn Planet? Following you there. After I'm done here, I literally will pop to the bathroom, pop in a little more whiskey, and then head over there, which will be in just a few minutes. I'm going to wrap this up soon. Gina, question, how are there over 5,700 people watching and only 1,800 likes? Because they're rapt at attention and have forgotten to hit the like, and I keep forgetting to ask. So don't forget to do the thumbs up and the sharey things. It helps. YouTube. We care about the mental health of creators. Also YouTube. I take like a week and a half off and come back from vacation, and all of my analytics are like, your everything is down because you haven't posted in a while. And you get these you get green arrows and like check marks when things are going well. And then you get these like down arrows when things aren't going well. And it's like, post more content. It's like, no, YouTube, your girl needed a minute. It's okay. So it will take YouTube a while to get back to like notifying everyone that I'm live and things like that. Just me. In the immortal words of Kevin Hart, it's about to go down. I adore Kevin Hart. And yes, it is about to go down. I've seen Kevin Hart live with my husband. He's funny. He's just funny. Kibby says yes, and I loved Glory. Yes. Matt Bond. Hello, Matt. Master presented Britney with an iPad. Britney is free. I know we talked about that on Twitter, and it really does feel that way. It's like Britney is like, there's such little wins, but it also seems to her that they feel like such big wins. And I'm optimistic every single day. Every single day, I'm optimistic that she is getting more and more freedom. I wonder how much Sam Asghari has helped her be strong with this stuff. I wonder too. Brittany's like over on Instagram trying to break his will and make him eat ice cream, and I think it's adorable. So, all of you, I'm just finally getting caught back up. Welcome to every single one of you that this is your first time catching a live. I'm so thankful you're here. Don't forget to subscribe. We're doing this again tomorrow night. RL says her mom is evil or worse, just passively messed up. And that the thing is, neither of them need to be great for this not to be going on, because neither of them should be in charge. I'm so glad to see all of you on your first live. Renee B, we got to that. Yes, court documents are more and more becoming PR statements. So yes. Question, could there be possible investigation into the judge or the court if there are questionable things found? Wendy B, there can always be an investigation. It will just depend. I think Rosengart is going to start with James and TriStar and money that was spent and go from there. But again, if the court didn't have objections and stuff before them, some of that stuff, it's like, but no one, like, if they all agreed, who am I as the court to oversee? You have to bring it to me as the court and object, and then I rule from there. So it will be interesting to see. All right. Question. This seems like they're using the court file. Renee, your questions keep jumping out at me, and I know that we answered that. Your nails are awesome. Thank you. We covered that. I've gotten behind on the chat. Sorry. Emily, you have to get the pumpkin moonshine this fall. Mary, that is a hot tip. I absolutely will do. I absolutely will do. I'm going to get to just a few more and then I am going to hop out. I appreciate all of you for being here. Thank you. We're going to sweep the end. Thank you, Lori Ann. I appreciate it. Question. Do you think that Jamie is only stepping down because he doesn't want to be investigated? He's going to be investigated no matter what. I think Rosengart painted him into a corner. And this is his response where he's kind of trying to fight for himself, but kind of trying to say, but I will step down. Like he's literally trying to straddle the line on this, and it's not going to work. It's not going to work at all. So, and he's going to be investigated no matter what. That's just it. Luke, thank you, Emily, for always doing extra lives for breakdowns for Britney. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Nat said legit was just going to ask if you saw the Halo Taco launch. Yes, I did. I have it. I got it when I got back. Do you think Britney is watching on her new iPad? I hope that Britney is not listening to any of this bullshit and living her life and doing yoga, dancing, and working in her garden. Ashley Vincent, nice product placement. Emily, Nintendo sent Emily free stuff. I mean, I've got my little sword, my master sword here. We've got like my little TARDIS, all my little nerdy shit that I love pops up in the background, and I will start moving things around in the background so we can play like Where's Waldo back there. It'll be fun. By resolve, do they mean pay the 12th account? This is a great question. By resolve, they mean rule on it because it can't be paid until the judge rules on the objections and they're fighting over monies for the attorneys. And so the court has to resolve it. And yes, resolve it means it's allowed to be paid. Mel says, I'm not a Britney fan, and just from these streams covering documents, I can see what a jerk dad is. Thanks, T. You're welcome. And these are a lot. These are a lot. Levin says, as a disabled woman, thank you. Glad my family respects my independence. Keep speaking up. Also, so excited to make it in time for a live stream. So glad that you are here. And the issues raised right now, we're still very much in it with the Britney Spears conservatorship, but the issues raised here are disability rights issues, are mental health issues, and I hope that they will raise awareness and change because this is not like gossip anymore. Some of this is like, oh shit, I can't believe you said that. Hey, buddy. Some of this is, oh shit, I can't believe you said this, but this is not like tea. These are larger issues. Like the fact that I think that Britney, and I'll talk about this in next week's podcast, I think that Britney's IUD probably came with her contract in Vegas. And I talked about that with Nick Rekieta on a stream, and he was like, the contract in Vegas. I'm like, yes, probably the contract in Vegas. And I'm going to be covering Bam Margera's wellness contract that was part of his Paramount agreement and how you can contract people to do things that otherwise you couldn't make them do. And so there are a lot of issues with her rights and her autonomy and what was signed in these, but also an investigation into her dad. Her dad had the right as the conservator of the person and conservator of the estate to choose what she was performing in, sign all of those agreements, and negotiate the contracts for her and for himself because he was receiving a percentage of those performances. He negotiated himself into a beneficial position because he was the conservator of the estate and the person, and that shouldn't have happened. Those are the kinds of things that are going to be investigated, and I'm sure lots more. Jessica said, if they end up going after Jamie, would this useless judge still oversee? Some, but not necessarily all. If there are other proceedings that are criminal or civil lawsuits filed, it could go to other courts for sure. Imuna B said David Kelly gave Robert Downey Jr. a chance with the role in Ally McBeal. That was first. I had forgotten about that, so thank you. I forgot he was on Ally McBeal. I used to watch Ally McBeal, for sure. So Chala said Dad Spears' motion is really vying for one last big payday since he will be owing all the legal fees. Hopefully the judge sees this point of view. I hope so too. I really do. I think the judge will see through some of the puffery in that. Butterfly Away says, now we see what Britney has gone through over the 13 years of manipulation. If you do this, then I'll do that. Yeah, his motion really does point it out. We need a siren. I mean, if you're walking on my keyboard, I can't highlight comments. Please don't eat my ice. Oh, Fred's just like, okay, we're going to go and unplug everything from the back of the computer because we can. Toby said, does this mean we are now eastbound and down? Yes, we are eastbound and down, loaded up and trucking. We're going to do what they say can't be done. As a psychologist, I think she's being traumatized by this ridiculous family dynamic in legal documents. Allison, I completely appreciate your perspective. I think it's awful, and it makes me absolutely so sad. It makes me so sad. And this is the dynamic that's been going on with her family for so long, which is why her family shouldn't be in charge of her life. Kevin Kimball asked which Boston station. I absolutely have to look. I totally forgot which AM station. I will put it on Twitter and there will be a link for sure. So yeah. I will put a link. Because I've completely blanked and I don't want to sit on stream trying to remember. I will shoot it out on Twitter. I've been on their station twice before and it's Kennedy and Carson's, but I don't remember exactly which station it is. So, all right. Fred doesn't want to answer any more questions. He wants me to pet him. My Holo Taco today did my nails whilst watching you. Yay! It's perfect. Yeah. Motion to review the legalities of Smokey and the Bandit. I love it. We will have to add that probably to one of our members' streams where we can do some of that stuff with a little more ease because of copyright considerations. But I love it. Oh, kitty, you want as much attention as most YouTubers right now. You want as much attention as most YouTubers. Popcorn Planet, we're coming. Holy moly, yes, you are crushing it tonight. Wish I could be watching while I'm streaming. Keep crushing it. Looking forward to collabing. Same. And yes, same. Same. I think Popcorn Planet is still live, so we will be over there when we are done. This cat is just like, do you not have bones tonight? Where do we go to follow you next after this, Chad? I need a shower after getting through it all. I will put the link in the thing. I will put the link in the comments and it will shoot you guys over to there. Question, do you think the Rosengart will make Jamie's depot public? It depends. Right now, my initial thoughts are probably not, but we'll see. When does precedence become probate protectionism? Andrea, that is a very deep question. And it's a very real concern in this case about just going with the status quo, allowing abuse of conservatorships to happen. And that is a very real question. What the point of that is, I think it varies. It would be so case specific for sure. All right, let me go real quick to make sure I have the link to the other stream, unless he's already done, which is also possible. Yeah, also possible. Let's see. Yeah, stop. Still live. So we are going to be going over there after this. Absolutely. Loud, but I'm getting the link and the mods have the link so it can be in there. So we can hop on over there and I can wrap up you guys because it has been an hour and 48 minutes as I was like, no, we're just going to be an hour and a half. It's going to be quick. It's never quick. It's always quicker than I want it to be. Thank you so much, Emily and the mods. Y'all are amazing. I try to get people to watch you because I feel like the media doesn't get things accurate. Thank you. They don't. They do things quick And we do things slow. We take the long way home, and we absolutely break everything down. So a lot of this isn't right. And a lot of the reporting isn't right. But thank you. I appreciate you. It's for the thorough breakdown, right? Reeks of PR. Dad Spears is trying to bouncer everyone on his way out and grab all the money he can on the way out. It definitely feels like he's just going to cut and run. Text crew is the way to make sure you never miss live. Dawn, thank you for reminding me to shout out the text crew. Text2Emily.com will get you there if you're in North America, and you will get heads up when I am going live, and heads up when I'm going live everywhere. So not just here. Elia, good night from Stockholm. Good night. I'm sure it's good morning. They ruined Britney, Michael, Lindsay. Who else? I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. Big ups to the mods. You peeps rock. The mods are amazing. Thank you for riding an extra night. I know we had a little bit of a break while I was gone, and then it's like right back into emergency live streams. Ashley Vincent, I don't have a sort of Gryffindor letter opener. Is that a thing? Does that exist? I need that. I need that to happen in my life for sure. Jay says, do you think Rosengart will tell Brit to watch out what she posts? Maybe if she's in charge of her posting. I don't know if he's chewing on the end of the microphone. You can't just rub your face on everything. I know. You want it to smell like you. I get it. All right, you guys, we're going to have this cat. Tomorrow night is Friday Night Live. Friday Night Live is at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. We have a lot to cover, but we will be covering some of the historic Britney documents, a few of them. We will be covering some of the Erica stuff. I am hoping that we will be covering Ace family stuff. It just depends on what else happens in the next 24 hours because, woof, it's been a lot. It's been quite a lot. Thank you for covering this matter. As a person with mental illness in my family, this is pivotal. It is, and this, I hope, will start to destigmatize and demystify. And in the Bam Margera, I always pronounce that wrong, but in that lawsuit with regard to Jackass and the Jackass 4 movie, he actually brings up the Britney Spears conservatorship, and we will talk about that in the podcast episode next week. I am the Emily Show in the news commentary section on Apple Podcasts. If you want to check out the audio version, you can. Savvy and Emily, I have both of your mugs in front of me on my desk right now. I adore Savvy. I think she is such a brilliant content creator, and I just love the way she breaks stuff down. Was super happy to see her in the chat tonight. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for the love to the mods. It is definitely time to go. You know where I'm going to be. We're hopping over to Popcorn Planet. Thank you. And we will be breaking this down a little bit more tomorrow night, and then we will see what happens on September 29th. If the court rules on this motion, the next thing that should happen is Matthew Rosengart responding. And aren't we waiting for that? I'm dying. I'm gagging for Rosengart's response. I'm so ready. All right, you guys, thank you for being here. Thank you for being a law nerd. You can follow me everywhere at the Emily D. Baker, and I will see you tomorrow night. And if you are watching in the replay crew and it is after Friday, there's a whole playlist of Britney Spears stuff you can get all the way caught up, and some other cases too. I'll talk to you soon. Connect with me everywhere. I'm at the Emily D. Baker. If you guys want to join the text, just textemily.com. If you want to join the channel, lawnerdsunite.com. Happy to have you. Support what we do here on the YouTube.